Hello everyone, welcome back again to this channel. Thank you so much for joining me again in this live section. So guys, if you know you're doing anything at the moment, please just leave it and come and listen to what I have to tell you guys. Just take a good listen to what I have to tell you guys. Then after, you can go back to what you're doing. Now, this is a news that could shake Nigerians for political foundation to its core. Yesterday, the Canadian Federal Court upheld a shocking ruling. Nigeria's two biggest political parties, APC and PDP, officially branded as engaged in conduct amounting to terrorism and the subversion of democracy. And today, Nnamdi Kanu's US lawyer, Bruce Fern, came out swinging, comparing the Nigerian government persecution of Kanu to Lucifer persecuting Jesus. Stay with me because this story isn't just about politics, it's about morality, justice, and what global perception. Now, on Thursday, Sarah reporters published these details that Canada's federal court upheld an earlier immigration and refuge board ruling that both the All Progressive Congress APC and the People's Democratic Party PDP have engaged in actions amounting to terrorism and the systematic undermining of democratic institution. So this is what they publish based on what Canada said. Bad there, but we have to, continue. So on Thursday, like I'm only saying, Sarah reporters published the details. Canada's federal court upheld an earlier was immigration and refuge board ruling that both the All Progressive Congress APC and the People's Democratic Party PDP have engaged in actions amounting to terrorism and what systematic undermining of democratic institutions. Now we are talking about we're talking about electoral violence, voter intimidation, and organized political thuggery. In legal terms, this means that under Canada's Immigration and Refuge Protection Act, even mere membership in these parties could be ground for denying some asylum, residency, or even entry into Canada. So you can see in my screen, they said Canadian court declares APC PDP terrorist organization, denies asylum to fleeing Nigerian politicians. This wasn't just a freedom statement, it's a legal precedent with international ripple effect, and it hits the very heart of Nigeria's political leadership because APC is the ruling party under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the same Tinubu whose government is prosecuting Nnamdi Kanu. Now, I'm going to be telling you guys what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's US lawyer said. That is Bruce Fern. What he said. The US constitutional lawyer, International Legal Council, and one of the loudest advocates for Nnamdi Kanu and the indigenous people of Biafra, he was reacting to the Canada decision, which came earlier yesterday, whereby the Canada said that PDP and APC he said that PDP and APC are they have engaged in what terrorism and in actions amounting to terrorism. That was what Canada published yesterday. So this was now when the United States lawyer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came and was reacting to what the Canadian said. Now this is what he said. He said, I quote what he said. He said, the Canadian court ruling shows the Nigerian government prosecution of Kanu is like Lucifer prosecuting what Jesus. That's a devastating analogy. Lucifer, it means the ultimate symbol of evil, and going after Jesus, that's the ultimate symbol of truth, righteousness, and sacrifice. Now, Bruce firm point is crystal clear. If Canada has now branded APC and PDP as tied to terrorism, then moral and politically, Kanu, who has been exposing the wrongs of these same parties, is the victim and not the villain. Now, Bruce Fenn took it further. He argued that this ruling turns the table entirely in his words. It's not Tinubu who should be prosecuting Nnamdi Kanu. It's Nnamdi Kanu who should be prosecuting Tinubu. Why? Because by Canadians' own judicial findings, APC, Tinubu's party, and PDP been engaged have both been engaged in violent anti-democratic was conduct. Now, to Bruce Finn, this isn't just a legal twist, it's a moral indictment, and it is a rally cry for IPOB supporters who have long claimed that Kanu's detention is politically what's motivated and fundamentally what's unjust. Now, make no mistake, this Canadian court ruling isn't binding in Nigeria, but is symbolic ammunition for the opposition, for activists, and for anyone challenging Nigeria's political status quo. Already, APC officials have blasted the Canadian judge, calling him an ignoramus, dismissing the decision as irrelevant. PDP has also rejected the classification, but in the court of public opinion, especially among Nigerians in the diaspora, this is huge. It gives international validation to years of accusations about political violence and corruption at the highest level. So here we are. On one side, a Canadian court damning verdict on Nigeria's two major political machines. On the other one is Bruce Finn, comparing Kanu's prosecution to Lucifer persecuting Jesus and calling for the script to be flipped entirely. Whether you love or hate Nnamdi Kanu, this question now is this. When international courts start seeing your ruling parties as tied to terrorism, how long before the moral legitimacy to prosecute your critics completely collapse? What do you guys think? Do you think is Bruce Finn Lucifer Jesus analogy a fair description of a political theater? So I want you guys to drop your comment below based on what Bruce Finn said. That's the United States lawyer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So let's actually read some article here. It says that Bruce Finn, a U.S. constitutional law and counsel for Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, said that the Canadian court ruling shows the Nigerian government prosecution of Kanu is like Lucifer prosecuting Jesus. Fenn made the statement following a Canadian court reported declaration of Nigeria's ruling All Progressive Congress, which is APC, and the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, as terrorist organization. Like, this to show you that if Canada can come out and say such a thing about the two major political parties in Nigeria, it shows that yes, these parties are really involved in terrorism, and they started calling them out one by one. The Canadian court said that APC and PDP are very corrupt, and not only that, they are involved in a terrorist organization. So it is not new again. It's not a new thing. The Canadian court has already said it. Let's go on. So let's go on to the next article. It says Sarah reporters on Thursday reported that the federal court upheld a ruling declaring both the PDP and APC to be engaged in conduct amounting to terrorism and subversion of democratic institutions. The judgment delivered on June 17, 2025 by Justice Puang TV Ngo dismissed the asylum application of Douglas Evariba, a Nigerian national and admitted PDP member, because his party membership alone was sufficient to make him inadmissible to Canada under paragraph 34, section 1 of the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, that's IRPA. The court endorsed the immigration appeal. Now, like I always say this thing, that Bola Ahmed Tinubu thinks that he's smart. They think that the world is not watching globally. It's very interesting now that Canada and USA are now speaking into this matter. Yes, they're now speaking into the matter of what is happening. Now, I'm going to be, expanding this talk. I'm telling you guys the historical contents of Kanu's allegation. For years, Nnamdi Kanu has accused both APC and PDP of systematic corruption. political assassinations and weaponizing ethnic or divisions. And when he said it, they attacked Nnamdi Kanu. As of then, they attacked him and said, "Why will you say such a thing about the two major political parties in Nigeria?" And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu told them, "These two parties you're talking about, APC and PDP, they're systematically corrupt and what they're involved in political assassination." Now, today, Canadian court is coming out to say it. Now, IPOB has consistently claimed these parties use the state security apparatus to silence opposition and maintain power through fear, no democracy. Many Nigerians dismiss these claims as political rhetoric. Many Nigerians dismiss these claims as political rhetoric until this Canadian court ruling gave them unexpected international reinforcement. Now, I will tell you the details of the Canadian case. I'll tell you the details of the Canadian case. The court case that triggered this ruling involved an asylum seeker whose political affiliation was with one of the two parties. The Canadian judge cited the report from international human rights organizations and news The decision was not symbolic, it was a legal finding that sets a precedent for all similar immigration cases involving APC or PDP members. Now, Bruce Finn, who is a United States of America, United States lawyer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, this is Bruce Finn's historical strategy. The Lucifer versus Jesus analogy he used, describing what the Nigerian government had done to Nnamdi Kanu wasn't just for drama. It was meant to emotionally reframe Kanu's detention for a global audience. Now, that Lucifer that Bruce Finn tried to use, to analyze what he was trying to talk about, Lucifer represents what oppression, deceit, and destruction, where Jesus represents truth, sacrifice, and moral authority. Now, by using biblical imagery, Bruce Finn tapped into deep cultural and moral association, especially for Christian audiences in Nigeria and abroad. Now, turning the legal tables, Bruce Finn argued if Canada's legal system recognizes APC and PDP's conduct as terrorism, then logically the members of these parties, not their critics, should be in the dock. This flips the entire narrative of Kanu being a dangerous separatist instead of separatist. Instead, it frames him as a whistleblower and victim. This is a high-stakes PR and legal maneuver designed to build sympathy in international courts and pressure Nigeria diplomatically. Now, reactions from Nigerian political crisis. This is the way APC and PDP reacted to this. APC called the ruling ignorant and baseless, claiming the Canadian court overstepped its boundary, while PDP downplayed the significance, saying the decision does not apply in Nigeria's legal framework. Critics note that neither party has addressed the substance of the allegations, the violence, election rigging, and intimidation. Now, implications for Tinubu's image abroad. Tinubu is already under international scrutiny for electoral controversies and human rights concerns. Being president of a party now labeled terrorist linked by another country's judiciary could hurt his standing in foreign policy circle. Countries and organizations sympathetic to IPOB may use this ruling as leverage in future diplomatic negotiations. Impact on Nigeria diaspora. Nigerians abroad affiliated with APC or PDP could face visa denials and saying that you see this thing that these people are doing, the way that Canada has come out now to say that APC and PDP are involved in terrorist organization, it can bring what travel bans and asset freeze, to all these people who are in APC or in PDP, but they're not aware of it. This is nothing but bringing bad image to Nigeria. But the fact that Canada said this thing, it has brought bad image to Nigeria. But what happens? The president doesn't care about it. It doesn't even care. Now, the unspoken part of the Canada ruling, the ruling did not just call out APC and PDP for terrorism. It specifically mentioned subversion of democratic institutions. This is key because it's exactly what IPOB and other activists have accused Nigeria's leadership of for years, hijacking democracy to entrench a ruling what elite. International courts rarely use such direct language against sitting governments or ruling parties, which make these decisions stand out even more. Why this really matters beyond Canada, why it doesn't have jurisdiction in Nigeria. Other Western nations like the UK, the US, and EU countries often watch each other's immigration ruling and may quietly adopt similar what stance. It can also influence NGO reports, UN human rights discussions, and even foreign aid policies toward Nigeria. In effect, this could become a soft diplomatic sanction, limiting the ability of Nigerian political elites to travel, invest, or seek asylum was abroad. Just like I always say, you see this particular ban, sorry, this thing that Canada just said now is going to bring a serious ban on Nigerian politicians, like travel bans or to invest or even freeze assets. Yes. So this is Nnamdi Kanu's long game. Bruce Finn's statement is not random. It's part of a calculated international legal campaign to reframe Kanu's detention as unlawful political persecution. IPOB strategy has been shifted to the battleground from Nigeria court to the court of global opinion. Every foreign ruling or statement that paints APC or PDP in a bad light becomes ammunition in Kanu's defense portfolio. Yes. Now, the Lucifer and Jesus an analogy resonance. Nigeria is a deeply religious society. Biblically references have strong emotional power. By using Lucifer versus Jesus, Bruce Finn is speaking directly to the cultural and spiritual values of Nigerians, especially Christians in the Southeast and diaspora. It's a rhetorical move that makes the argument not just legal but moral and spiritual. So the moral paradox Finn is exploiting. Rose Finn point here is, how can a government whose ruling party is accused internationally of terrorism have the moral legitimacy to jail someone who exposed them? This position Kanu as a truth teller punished by those in the wrong, a dynamic historically associated with political matters. Now, APC and PDP's weak defense, instead of challenging the specific allegations of violence and democratic subversion, both parties have focused on attacking the judge and questioning what justification. The silence on the actual facts in the ruling allows critics like Bruce Finn to argue that the parties cannot defend their own record. Possible diplomatic fallout for Nigeria. International human rights bodies may seize on the ruling to push for more monitoring of Nigeria's elections and political climate. Tinubu's upcoming diplomatic visit could face protests and increase scrutiny abroad. Potential impact on Nigeria's foreign investment climate if the government is increasingly seen as politically unstable or violent. Now, symbolic boost of IPOB narrative. IPOB has long argued that the Nigerian state operates as a criminal cartel. This ruling from a respected Western judiciary adds credibility to that claim. It will embody more Biafran activists to seek asylum abroad using similar legal arguments. Now, public perception war inside Nigeria. While many Nigerians inside the country may not read the full ruling, the headlines APC and PDP declare terrorists are enough to damage your public trust. This may deepen political kynism and increase calls for third-party original political movement. Now, Bruce Finn's statements as part of a bigger IPOB media strategy. IPOB oftentimes its major media releases to coincide with significant legal or political events. Now, when Bruce Finn's Lucifer and Jesus statement came less than 24 hours after the Canadian court decision, ensuring the two stories would be tied together in news cycles and social media debates. So just like I always say that, you see this thing that these people are doing, you see the fact that Canada has come out to point this thing is going to make Nigerians not to be traveling again, because Canada will not be, because Canada would make sure that they're going to give what travel bans to all these political people in power. Yes, so because it's going to give them travel bans or even asset freeze. The precedent in international law, the Canadian ruling joins a small but powerful list of foreign court decisions labeling ruling political groups in other countries as terror-linked cases, like rulings against certain Sri Lankan, Rwanda, and Sudanese political entities. Such precedents are often later cited in asylum hearings and even in international criminal court preliminary reviews. This gives IPOB's legal team a path to frame APC and PDP's activities as not just Nigerian political issues but international war crimes. The numbers behind this allegation, human rights reports have linked APC and PDP political violence to thousands of deaths since 1999, especially during election cycles. Some observers believe the Canadian court factored in casualty numbers, including incidents of mass what Bruce Finn said, that's the US lawyer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He said the exact thing. There was a time that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came out to expose APC and PDP, that they were terrorists. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said they were very, very corrupt, and they had the audacity to lock up a man who exposed them. Now, Canada court has come out to say the exact thing that Nnamdi Kanu said years back. This is terrible. Seriously, this is terrible, and this is enough evidence now for the federal. This is enough evidence for Justice J. Somotosho to know that everything that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been saying is the truth and releasing. Now, let's take a look at this also. This is a news. This is let's take a look at this. They said over 1,800 people killed in Southeast under Buhari. Amnesty International has reviewed. Amnesty International has come out to review people who were killed in Southeast under Buhari's administration. They said it's 1,800 people. I'm telling you guys the honest truth. This is terrible. You see, everything they're doing to the Southeast is terrible. Under Buhari's regime, 1,800 people were killed. Who knows under Tinubu how many were also killed under Tinubu's regime? Who knows? This is what Amnesty International reviewed to the people not long ago. This is what they reviewed. Anyway, guys, please, I want you guys, to listen to what the lawyer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has to say, and I'll be right. And also, please don't forget to, drop your comment below, because we'll be taking the comments one by one. And
so today I'm wearing two hats. I'm speaking on behalf of Nnamdi Kanu. I'm also speaking on my own behalf. My name is Aloy Ejimako. I'm the special counsel to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the indigenous people of Biafra. And I'm speaking to you from a location in Nigeria. The man, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is well known. He's everywhere. He's on Wikipedia. He's an internationally acclaimed freedom fighter. But there's just a few things I need to tell you about him. What brought him to limelight was the formation of the indigenous people of Biafra in the United Kingdom in 2012. Simultaneously, he also founded Radio Biafra. And these two organizations were aimed at one thing: liberation for the people of Biafra, or restoration of the former Republic of Biafra that went defunct in 1970. The right to self-determination is a right that is guaranteed internationally, domestically, and continentally. It's within the black letters of Nigerian law at Article 20 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. The right to self-determination is guaranteed. So the formation of IPOB did not break any law. Not laws of United Kingdom, not international law, not Nigerian law. But guess what? When Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who was born in Nigeria, but who acquired British citizenship later on, came to Nigeria in October 2015, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, which had come to power in May, decided to arrest him. He was not arrested between 2012 and 2015 because the government of the day at that time understood that self-determination is not a crime. But the government that came into power in 2015 in May decided that self-determination is going to be treated as a criminal activity. So he was arrested in Lagos. He was charged for treason, also for insulting the president and illegal importation of radio equipment. 3 charges. The treason one, they split it into 2, treason by himself and treason by conspiracy. This thing went on from 2015 until April 2017, when he was eventually granted bail. So he was detained for nearly 18 months. After granting him bail, he returned to his ancestral home in the southeastern part of Nigeria, and he was enjoying his bail when suddenly, between 10 September and 14 September 2017, the Nigerian army, without any justification whatsoever, levied lethal, massive military operations against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's ancestral home. That day, he was sitting at home with so many people, his family members, including his 2 elderly parents. The attack was lightning, it was a bleak range, it was massive, and it was not the type of an attack you will expect a national military force to levy on a civilian location. But they did. At the end of the day, 28 people lost their lives. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu sustained injuries. His parents sustained injuries as well, but somehow, by the grace of God, they all managed to escape. From there, the rest is history. And because there was a national and international manhunt for him by the security forces, which rules of engagement was to shoot, not to maim. If you see Nnamdi Kanu, if you encounter him anywhere, shoot not to maim. Not to maim, but shoot to kill. That's what they went there to do on 10 September, but they didn't succeed. But it went on. They went on in a manhunt. So Nnamdi Kanu was forced to flee the municipal boundaries of Nigeria in search of safe haven overseas. Eventually, in May 2021, he settled in Kenya. He entered Nairobi and settled in Kenya somewhere. He never knew that Nigerian security forces, the international branch of it, were laying in wait for him. They led an ambush for him. So on 19th June 2021, he drove himself to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport on a personal errand. As soon as he drove into the parking lot and alighted from his vehicle, several well-armed security men suspected to be of a mixture of Nigerian and Kenyan security forces swooped on him, grabbed him, abducted him, and put him forcibly in a vehicle and drove away. Well, they didn't take him to the police station. They didn't take him to immigration because he was a foreigner. He should have been taken to immigration. They didn't take him to any official law enforcement facility. They took him to a secret location in Nairobi, a non-official secret location. So in effect, they disappeared him. And they kept him at that secret location for a whole 8 days. And those 8 days he endured horrendous torture. All these are matters of record between the various tribunals and courts before whom this matter has been brought. I cannot begin to give you all the details. Horrendous torture in violation of basic human rights, in violation of the laws of Kenya, Nigeria, and the international community. When Nnamdi Kanu was abducted on 19th June 2021, the proper thing that should have been done is to take him to a police station, from there to a court. And then if you wanted him back in Nigeria, you subject him to what is called extradition proceedings. This is a basic tenet of the law that you see in the laws of any nation. Kenya has an extradition act to which Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should have been subjected. But guess what? They didn't do that. They rather disappeared him for 8 days, tortured him to their heart's content. And on 27th June, they secretly brought him out from this location and took him through the back doors, evading Kenyan immigration, direct to the tarmac of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Nairobi, where a private plane was waiting. They bundled him into the plane, chained him to the chair, and everything. He endured 5-6 hours flight from Nairobi to Kenya in the most excruciating circumstances. They arrived in Nigeria late in the evening and the plane flew back to Nairobi. They took him to the headquarters of the National Intelligence Agency in Abuja, where he spent the first night with all the lights left on to assure his maximum discomfort. The following day, they transferred him to the headquarters of Directorate of State Security in Abuja. And on the third day, they brought him before the Federal High Court in Abuja. The Federal High Court was well aware that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has counsel of record. It was an open case, it wasn't a new case, a pre-existing case. But the Federal High Court decided to conduct the arraignment in violation of his constitutional right to counsel, and that arraignment led to the indefinite detention with which we are struggling today. Anyways, taking you back a few steps, the little military invasion of 2017 was not unrequited, judicially speaking. I took the matter before two tribunals, or a tribunal and a court. First, I took it to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, which rendered a decision in March 2018 condemning the action and calling it a violation of the African Charter. And they wrote to the President of Nigeria, they wrote a letter to the President of Nigeria requesting him or directing him. They used diplomatic language, but the decision was there that what you did is wrong, so you need to roll it back. You need to reverse everything you have done, which includes declaration of IPOB as a terrorist organization and hounding their members as criminals. The African Commission held that what Nigerian government was doing was persecution, not prosecution. That the IPOB and its members simply possess an inconvenient political opinion which the Nigerian government was seeking to suppress by means of punishment of some sort. And they asked or directed Nigerian government to reverse itself. Nigerian government never did. Rather, it escalated. Well, subsequently, I went to a local court a high court in Abia State in eastern Nigeria. I sued the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Nigerian Army, and other parties who were Confederates in that attack of September 2017. And in January 2022, fortunately for us, we won. The High Court made an order. The High Court reached a judgment that what happened to Nnamdi Kanu in September 2017 was a flagrant violation of his constitutional right to life and constitutional right to his privacy. And the court proceeded to make an order ordering the federal government of Nigeria, or Federal Republic of Nigeria, to pay him a compensation of 1 billion Nigerian naira, which is over $1 million US. The court also ordered the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the President of Nigeria to issue a public apology to be published in 3 national Nigerian newspapers to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. None of this has happened. So we kept that aside. So when they brought Mazi Nnamdi Kanu forcibly from Kenya without extradition proceedings, I characterized it an act of extraordinary rendition. Initially, there was a misunderstanding, a broad, widespread misunderstanding by vast majorities of Nigerians who were mouthing the cliche, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu extradited from Kenya. No, that was wrong. It wasn't. I told people it wasn't. It was extraordinarily renditioned or rendered, and that is against international law, Kenyan law, and laws of the Federation of Nigeria. So while his criminal trial was making its way slowly at Abuja, with all the several amendments the government was bringing, they walked away from treasonable felony, insulting the president, importation of radio equipment, and bam, to terrorism. That's how it happened. And they did this 7 times. 7 amendments. If Nnamdi Kanu was guilty, why is it taking so long to bring him to trial between 2015 and today? That is 8 years. So what he's undergoing is not really a judicial trial. It's a trial by ordeal. Trial by fire. Imprisonment before conviction. They just want to get as many years of jail time out of him as possible, because they know that with the evidence available, conviction will be impossible. And that was made worse by the extraordinary rendition, which I took also as a civil violation to a federal high court in Nigeria. And in October 2022, the Federal High Court came down with a judgment that extraordinary rendition was a violation of his constitutional rights, his fundamental rights, and they awarded him 500 million Nigerian naira. That's about $800,000. So all around, everywhere that this matter has gone to, including in July 2022, before the Human Rights Council at the United Nations. The Human Rights Council, United Nations, came down with an opinion that what happened to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya and that brought him to Nigeria is a very grave violation of international law. And they directed that he should be released unconditionally. And of course, the Court of Appeal in Nigeria did come down with a similar judgment in same October 2022, discharging Mazi Nnamdi Kanu of all charges and bearing any further trial of his person in any court in Nigeria as a consequence, as a direct consequence of the extraordinary rendition. So what more can you ask for a man to deserve his freedom? How many have I counted? United Nations, which in this case should be considered a world court. Then you have the Nigerian Court of Appeal, which is the second highest court in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Then you have the Federal High Court, which is the court of first instance at the federal level. And of course, you have the State High Court that awarded him 1 billion Nigerian naira. So between 2015 and today, 8 years and running, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has snagged 4 major victories against the Federal Republic of Nigeria, with Federal Republic of Nigeria winning nothing. What more do you need as stark evidence, affirmative evidence that what is happening here, ladies and gentlemen, is an act of persecution, not prosecution? It's time to end it. On his behalf, I will ask all men and women of goodwill everywhere in the world to speak up. There was this saying about Jews. When they came for the Jew, you said nothing. When they came for the Jew, you said nothing because you're a trade unionist. Then when they came for the trade unionist, you say, well, I'm a scientist. You said nothing. They took the Jew, they took the trade unionist, and then when they came for the scientists, nobody spoke for you. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a poster boy for all the injustices that a great race, the Igbo people, and their cousins in the former eastern Nigeria have been subjected to since the founding of Nigeria. These injustices became more public because since 2015 they have been escalated. So how do you fight back? You fight back by telling the system, I want out. I want my own country is not a crime. It does not require a bullet. It doesn't require muscular military law enforcement. What it requires is sitting across the table and talking about it. A lot of nations have been founded on referendum. That's what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the Indigenous people of Biafra were asking for. That led to all this conundrum, to all this saga.
When the president calmed down, the reason Nnamdi Kanu have a discussion with him. You have been having a discussion with bandits and the so-called repentant Boko Haram. Tell me the offense of Nnamdi Kanu, because he's agitating for self-determination, which is his own constitutional fundamental rights granted to him by the Constitution and the law.
Well, the government's anger is not because of the agitation, because they know that everyone has a right to agitate. But they said the way he was going about it, like and then people were being incited. Well, that's even not what I'm
what of the one the wife of the president incited people during the election? The wife of the president, he incited people that Igbo should go. What of the one Oba of Lagos said that Igbo should go and fall into Lagoon? What of those that came out and said that Igbos will not vote? If you are not voting for APC, you will not vote. What happened to them? Has anybody been arrested? That Nnamdi Kanu said something. Then you now term that thing he said as is a terrorist, is a crime of terrorism. You charge him for terrorism. His own lawful organization that is registered in almost all the whole countries in America and Europe and Asia, and you now came to Nigeria, you term it a terrorist organization. Now you are now saying that now that IPOB is being recognized in almost all the whole countries in America and Europe. So you are now saying that America, France, Germany, they are recognizing a terrorist organization because you don't want anybody to agitate. You want to suppress anybody. If you talk, kill him, suppress him, jail him. In a country that is predicated on constitutional governance, it cannot work like that.
Okay, let's get back to the ministerial nomination of Bianca Ojukwu, because you said he took away one from Anambra and brought in another. But remember that the president took away the minister based on the KPI results that came out, which he was not even the one, that did the evaluation. It was the result given to him with which he did that, meaning that if actually the minister had performed, above board in the KPI, he wouldn't have had any reason to remove her rather.
Now, still on that ministerial list, we have 48 of them, am I right? And we have 36 states in this country, including FCT 37. So, apart from Southeast, that have only 5, every other region have more than 6, apart from Southeast. Now, check since 1999, you have been having series of president. Just okay, let's use what is going on now. The president is from where? Vice is from where? Speaker is from where? Senate president is from where? CJN is from where? Court of Appeal president is from where? National Industrial Court president is from where? Chief Judge of Federal High Court is from where? And they are saying that the people of Southeast belongs to this country.
Are you sure Max, are you sure you're not? I mean, it's just like what I said too. I mean, isn't it time we started to be less sentimental about this diversity?
We have to apply it now. We are talking about, we are saying that the only people that are qualified to hold all this position, nobody from South is qualified. On what basis?
Are you saying that there's
but the chief of naval staff is from the Southeast?
Huh?
The chief of naval staff?
From where? I'm talking about the key position.
So
number one person, number two person, number three person, number four person, number five person. The key position. We have three arms of government: the executive, the judiciary, and the parliament. You can never see anybody from Southeast there. Now, the point we are talking about is that when I'm not even talking about, I'm in court about lopsided appointments.
Okay.
I can avail that my process because I did an intensive research in that process. File it, asking court to view whether this particular appointment, whether this particular government is in line with Federal Character Establishment Act, an act of National Assembly that said that you should carry everybody along. Section 14 of the Constitution also said that you should carry everybody along. And they are not doing all these things. You are telling me that, yes, now that you have removed Kennedy Handele and they are now brought in Jan Kojuku, that the people of Southeast will jubilate. Are you talking to idiots? Look at the people that you are talking about. Check, let me start with the source. In football, the people that have made Nigeria proud are the people of Southeast. In commerce, in aviation industry, name it, in academics. They are from people of Southeast. But when it comes to power, they are not qualified. And we want them to be happy. Listen, let me tell you, like today that is Monday, go to Southeast. And my annoyance is that these things are avoidable for Christ's sake. They won at Atanizer. They listen and the Kalu. Let us start addressing this issue. This early morning, somebody sent me a clip, something they posted. That they said from, I think they said next week, or the next 2 weeks, that there will be nothing like federal courts in the whole of Southeast. What do I mean by federal courts? Federal courts, National Industrial Court is a federal court. Federal High Court is a federal court. Court of Appeal is a federal court. Now, the people the judges that are there, most of them are not Igbos. Majority of them are not Igbos. How should you risk somebody to go and preside in the Court of Appeal over the judicial division, Oka Judicial Division, Enugu Judicial Division? How can you appoint somebody to go and preside in Federal High Court in the Southeast, National Industrial Court in the Southeast? And you are not even thinking about all this. And the judges are not even thinking about, So the point we are talking about is that when there is a problem, look for a solution. Personally, somebody like us, we're not even, I'm defending Nnamdi Kanu, one of his wires. So when they say so you people are not doing what you're supposed to do, the person that is calling you, don't even know him. He's using a hidden number to call you. You don't even know what they're talking about court. The only thing that you went to court and you were unable to bring Nnamdi Kanu out. They're not even safe.
Okay, Maxwell, let me ask you this, because from what you're saying, I've also heard IPOB many times deny, allegations of being involved in some of the killings that happen in the Southeast and some of the, the ills that we see in the society. Even the sit-at-home in question, IPOB has also claimed that he has not asked anybody to sit at home. I don't know, get my point. So the point I'm making is that from what you're saying, it would look as if what you're actually trying to say is that it's because Nnamdi is being held,
yes,
that is why the ills in the society in the Southeast has escalated. Does it have anything to do with him? That is what you're saying?
Do you know why? Nnamdi Kanu, IPOB is his initiative. He established it, he organized it. Now, when you now kidnapped him or abducted him, and unlawfully, because the Supreme Court have said that he was unlawfully brought into this country, and you kept him incommunicado, everybody on his own. This one we kill, you said at IPOB. This one we maim, you said at IPOB. Everybody on his own. That's why I asked you the question, who is IPOB? The IPOB is Nnamdi Kanu. So Nnamdi Kanu, if Nnamdi Kanu is out, you will know who is who. Simon Ekpa will talk his own, Emma Powerful will talk his own, this one will talk his own, this one. Who is IPOB? That you are even talking. Simon Ekpa is in Finland. Emma Powerful, I don't know where he's operating from. Another person is operating from somewhere. Issuing threats. Just like the one somebody told me. I don't even know where that one is coming from. So the easiest way to do is the one that you know. Nnamdi Kanu. Then tell Attorney General, as he discontinue the charges against the president of Mieti, Ala, Kato, discontinuity of Showore. They are all terrorism. Tell them to discontinue this of that of Nnamdi Kanu, and allow Nnamdi Kanu to agitate. It is his right. I told you the other day.
You see, that's where the problem is, really. The guarantee, that there will not be problems, even if Nnamdi Kanu is. Because you're saying allow him to agitate, and he goes about it the way he used to, like, the government have had to feared. That may also create more problems, don't you think?
Let me tell you, there are some things that you asked me the other day whether they are talking about condition giving Nnamdi Kanu. I told you one question. I say, if you give Nnamdi Kanu condition that he feel after meeting up that condition, he will still live like a human being, so be it. But when you give him condition and you are removing that made him a human being, he will tell you no. What is that made you a human being? That thing that makes you a human being is your ability to exercise your fundamental rights. And when somebody said, now I'm going to employ you here, I will be paying you $500,000 every month, but you will not talk, you will not move out, you say, do away with your job. When somebody said, I'm going to release you, but I'll cut one of their hands, say no. The agitation for self-determination is a fundamental right. And if you people fail to understand it, I can agitate that I need the Republic of Maxwell. Yeah. It is my right. Anybody can agitate. I don't even need crowd to follow me. It is when you now feel that you have gotten the necessary need the necessary qualities, then so be it. It is now left for the president who believe in democracy, who believe in government of the people by the people, to apply an initiative. What is the initiative? Release the person, start addressing all those issues that gave rise to this agitation. It has been there. Uwazirike was agitating during Obasanjo. A lot of people were agitating. So now that you have arrested, you come down Uwazirike that time, Nnamdi Kanu came up. Now that you have arrested Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpa is there. I think this data from Ned Nwoko was telling you that even if you arrest Simon Ekpa today, another Simon Ekpa will come out. So the issue there is that address all those issues.
Right. So for you, it's not about ministerial appointment.
No. That one. Okay, that is a complete distraction. That one should even come in. Okay. After in now, let Bianca come and address the Igbos in Enugu.
All right.
So guys, let's talk about the lawyer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the US lawyer, said, which is Brune, what he really talked about. Now, I'll be telling you guys what he said. He talked about, he reacted to what the Canada court said. And this is what Brune said. He said, Canada's court terrorist tag on APC, PDP proves Nnamdi Kanu should be prosecuting Tinubu, not vice versa. US lawyer Bruce Fein said. Now, the precedent in international law, the Canadian ruling, the Canada ruling joins a small but powerful list of foreign court decisions labeling ruling political groups in other countries as terror-linked. Cases like rulings against certain Sri Lanka, Rwanda, and Sudan's political entities. Such precedents are often later cited in asylum hearings and even in International Criminal Court preliminary reviews. This gives IPOB legal team a path to frame APC and PDP activities as not just Nigerian political issues but international crimes. The number behind the allegation, human rights reports have linked APC and PDP political violence to thousands of deaths since 1999, especially during election cycles. Some observers believe the Canadian court factored in casualty numbers, including incidents of mass killings in hotspots like River State, Kano, and Kaduna, tied to what political thuggery. Now, Bruce Fein can now cite these statistics alongside the ruling to argue that the government is a repeat offender in human rights violation. IPOB's claim of selective justice. IPOB and Kano have repeatedly asked why militant settlement groups like Boko Haram collaborators and political thugs enjoy impunity, while IPOB members face later crackdown. The ruling terrorism classification on APC and PDP could be presented as proof that Nigeria's terror label is selectively applied to silence certain voices while shielding state-connected offenders. Potential media spin by government. Nigerian state media may try to downplay the ruling as foreign interference or label it a misinterpretation of Nigerian policies. However, social media bypasses such control. Diaspora-based influencers and bloggers are already pushing the Lucifer vs. Jesus line, making it viral. Diaspora mobilization effect. IPOB's overseas chapters could use the ruling to strengthen lobbying efforts in Canada, the US, and Europe for Kanu's release. They can now walk into meetings with lawmakers holding a foreign court document that backs their claims about Nigeria's political violence. The danger for Nigerian politicians traveling abroad. Nigerian politicians with APC or PDP tie may now face background checks or even quiet diplomatic questioning in Canada. The risk of being denied entry on grounds of affiliation with a terrorist-linked organization is now legally possible under Canadian law. How this could affect 2027 election. This ruling, if widely known domestically, could become a campaign tool for opposition candidates outside APC and PDP. Yes, it can become a campaign tool for opposition candidates outside APC and what's PDP. Now, smaller parties could argue they are the only clean alternative, not stained by international terror allegations, religious symbols in Fian analogy. Now, Bruce Fian's choice of Lucifer persecuting Jesus taps into more than Christianity. It's also a universal narrative of evil targeting innocence. In Nigerian political climate where religion heavily influences public opinion, such a phrase can rally sympathy even among people who are not IPOB supporters. Now, how this changed the narrative in Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's trial. I'll be telling you guys how it changed the narrative. Kanu's legal defense can now present his activism as whistleblowing against terrorist-affiliated political elites, not rebellion against the state. Even if the Nigerian court ignores the Canadian ruling, the international media won't, and that can influence diplomatic pressure. The perception shift in African politics. Other African separatist movements could be encouraged by this precedent, seeing it as proof that Western courts sometimes side with dissidents against ruling governments. Nigerians political elites will now have to fight a two-front war, one in domestic politics and one in international perception. So just like I always say that this time around the what the Canadian court has come out to say is going to make them to put a ban on Nigeria, especially a ban of anybody that is associated or tied with APC and PDP. That maybe they may place a ban on travel or freeze their assets, or tell them not to come into their country because of the way they have said that APC and PDP are corrupt. They are involved in what terrorism organization, and they are also corrupt. Now, since Nigeria's return to democracy in 1999, every major election cycle has been marred by killings, ballot snatching, and voter intimidation. International observers like the EU and US State Department have repeatedly flagged APC and PDP operatives for orchestrating political violence. The Canadian court ruling simply formalizes with what many international reports have hinted at for decades. The economic cost of political violence. Nigeria loses billions in investments whenever election-related unrest breaks out. Foreign investors interpret political instability as a high-risk environment, meaning fewer jobs and slower development. Bruce Finn can argue that APC and PDP's terror-linked behavior doesn't just harm citizens physically, but also economically. Now, the propaganda versus reality. The Nigerian government often portrays Kanu as a source of instability in the southeast. This ruling allows IPOB to argue that the real destabilizers are the ruling person themselves, according to a foreign court. The global spotlight strategy. IPOB's long-term tactic has been to internationalize the Biafra struggle, making it impossible for Nigeria to contain the narrative within its borders. By tying Kanu's case to a ruling from a G7 nation like Canada, IPOB ensures the story remains in global diplomatic conversations. Now, the challenge to Nigeria's diplomatic image. Nigeria prides itself on being Africa's largest democracy. Having two main political parties labeled terror linked by a respected Western judiciary is a PR disaster that can be exploited in human rights campaigns. Now, possible legal domino effect. Human rights lawyers in the UK, US, and EU may begin filing similar cases using the Canadian ruling as a legal precedent. If multiple countries follow suit, Nigerian political elites could find themselves facing restrictions on movement, banking, and investment abroad. The symbolism for IPOB's babe for IPOB based. IPOB supporters see this as divine justice and international courts acknowledging their long-held grievances. The Lucifer Jesus metaphor amplifies that feeling, framing the struggle as not just political but spiritual. Government's potential counter narrative. The Nigerian state might try to dismiss the ruling as colonial arrogance or Western bias, hoping to rally nationalist sentiment at home. However, that narrative is less effective in the diaspora, where many Nigerians have direct experience with APC and PDP governance. The diaspora's fundraising leverage. This ruling can be used in IPOB fundraising campaign as proof of what legitimacy, potentially increasing contributions for legal battle and advocacy. Fear inside APC and PDP ranks. Rank and file party members who travel abroad may start resigning quietly to avoid future immigration troubles. This could create internal instability within what the both parties. So this kind of thing is going to make them, they won't want to travel outside the country again, because this Canada may give them a travel ban. Canada may say that they should not come into their country, because Canada has just exposed that these two major political parties in Nigeria are what terror linked. They're involved in terrorist organizations, and they are also what very corrupt. Anyway, guys, that's all we have for today. Please let me know your thoughts below on based on what the US lawyer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have to say about this and what the Canadian court exposed about APC and PDP. I would love it to share your thoughts below. So, guys, that's all we have for today. And also, thanks for watching. And also, don't forget that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be coming to court on the 10th October 2025. I'll be giving you guys latest updates about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and everything about him. And also, please don't forget that we use this platform to agitate for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So please do what's up in the comment section. Free Nnamdi Kanu. So guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys again in my next live section.